Hello, I'm Denise from Travel Brilliant, and today we're going to talk about travel insurance. I know it's not the most exciting thing that we could be talking about when it comes to trip planning, but it is something that I think is really, really important for all of my travelers to make sure they consider for their trip. So today I'm going to talk about 5 scenarios in which you need travel insurance. Now, remember, travel insurance is not just in case you need to cancel your trip, right? It's also there for while you're traveling, and it's going to cover you for some things that you might not even be thinking of. And the first one is that you get injured while you're traveling. We never want that to happen, right? But life is unpredictable, right? So you might fall, you might get injured in some way while you're traveling, and you might need to see a doctor. So it's important to remember that depending on where you're traveling, your travel insurance or your health insurance may not cover you. Even if you're traveling within the US, you might get hit with out-of-network costs, right? Because the provider that you might visit, the hospital, the doctor, the urgent care, may not be in your network. So that is something to think about. And also, while you're traveling in foreign countries, oftentimes in countries like Mexico, for example, you need to pay upfront for your medical visit if you're injured. So this can go from everything from chipping a tooth to spraining an ankle to breaking a leg. Those are things that all have happened to my clients, unfortunately, while they were traveling. The other thing that's important is that the coverage will often give you emergency medical evacuation. So most regular health insurance policies do not cover an emergency medical flight, and travel insurance will cover that, depending on the policy. So those flights can be hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you're in the Bahamas and you have a heart attack, they want to get you to the closest US cardiac center. They're going to use one of those flights. So if you get injured during travel, your travel insurance will cover that cost. And for carriers that we use like Allianz, their insurance is primary, which means that you get a 24-hour concierge service. They will start your policy and pay for your medical fees before you even need to do anything with your own insurance. So you don't have to go through the process of submitting it to your insurance, getting a rejection, and then going back to file your claim. This would be primary. So it alleviates a lot of stress. Again, unforeseen circumstances that cause you to miss part of your trip, right? Something happens back at home and you need to go. You need to go back home to take care of it, right? So you're out the money, right? You've started that trip and you need to leave during the middle of it. You're likely not getting a refund because you've already checked in, whether it's your hotel, your resort, or your cruise, but you need to leave and go back home to deal with something. Another close family member's illness, a legal proceeding, something happens to your house, right? Something like that is causing you to end your trip early, and the insurance will cover the portion of your trip that you missed. So it's really a good idea, again, to make sure that you have that protection. A travel companion gets sick. So if you are traveling with your travel companion, it not just covers you, it covers your travel companion, the policies that we're going to write. So quarantine, again, COVID is still an issue. If your companion gets sick with a disease or an illness that makes them or forces them to go into quarantine, it's going to cover your expenses, right, to either fly home early, fly home late, or those daily expenses of extra hotels while you stay in country to be with them. So again, if your travel companion, if you or your travel companion end up having to quarantine, it's going to cover those extra expenses. It's also going to cover your travel delays. So winter storms, hurricanes, things like that, that cause you to, again, this also goes for the leaving early. So if you leave early, right, a hurricane's coming and you end your vacation early because you're in Mexico and you want to get home before it hits, it's going to cover those extra expenses, but it's also going to cover you if you're delayed. Winter is a tough time to travel. Flight delays happen across the country. So if you get stuck somewhere like Denver and that's your connection, It's going to cover your extra hotel, your food, your taxis to and from that hotel. And the great thing is that you're not sitting there, because weather is not a covered thing for the airlines to compensate you for a room. You're not sleeping at the airport. You're not standing in that long customer service line. You're getting a hotel, you're going right there, and you're relaxing until you're able to get out. So there are plenty of scenarios that will cover you while you're traveling with travel insurance. So it's not just to protect your investment in case something happens and you can't go on your trip, although that's also very important. That's the fifth component, right? The fifth scenario is that something happens before you even depart, and it will cover those non-refundable expenses. But there's a lot of scenarios that could happen while you're traveling that are going to be compensation. I take travel insurance out for every single trip I take, and I recommend that all of my clients do as well. If you have any questions about travel insurance or you need a quote, message us or drop a comment below. Thank you so much.